Hi, you're listening to Abbacadabra Radio. This podcast is for my conscious creator friends, my manifesting besties. This is part stream of consciousness, part talking with people who love to talk about conscious creation, manifestation, spiritual things, anything in between. And it is my hope that through this podcast, I expand my own awareness and understanding of myself, and you guys do too. I am happy to have you guys here along for the ride. Hello, my conscious creator friends. Welcome to yet another episode of Abbacadabra Radio. I'm Abby, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. Let me start by saying I apologize for the pause. I apologize for the break. Kind of. I didn't record episodes because I truthfully felt like a broken record and like I was just saying the same stuff. And a lot of the stuff that I say is the same stuff. Like, I get that. But I was tired of just saying the same stuff over and over and over and over again that I still say, think, and believe. And you'll probably hear a lot of that today, but maybe in a different way, because today we're really diving into shadow stuff and like what the last few months of that has looked like for me. Before I go too deep into this, though, of course, you guys know you can visit abbacadabrapod.com. That is in the show notes because spelling that is a racket. And you can find my meditations. You can find the opening up to money masterclass is no longer there. The blueprint, my 30-day manifestation process is there. The timeline shifting audio is there. Everything I offer is there. So if you want to see what that is, you can go check that out. So yeah, over the last few months, I have been really deep on internal work, really big in like shadow work and just integrating a lot of different ideas, new ideas. It's just been a very isolated 2025, really, when I think about it. Because anytime that I've had something like big happen or big come up or like a challenge or whatever, my instinct is to go within. My instinct is to hide away from the world, hibernate for a little while, do my own thing, and then come out guns blazing. Not in an aggressive way, just in a, okay, time to tackle this, time to get through this, time to whatever in that moment. And that's kind of what happened. Not that anything big or terrible happened, but like big things have been happening. So that need for some internal pause, I think, was really necessary. And we just had eclipse season with retrograde season, which has been so fun. So since I've been like deep in that shadow, the stuff that I've been doing over the last few months has been really, really fun. Of course, it's changed how I post on social media. It's changed how frequently I post on social media. Some people have had a problem with that. I don't care. I post when I feel guided to. Sometimes it might be like the manifestation stuff videos that I post all the time or did post all the time. It could be a funny meme. It could be some divine, feminine, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but I understand that I was someone who used to post multiple times a day, every single day, to posting pretty infrequently compared to that. And I did have people reach out, or at least one person reach out and think that things were not good because I wasn't posting the same. Guess what, guys? People change. We're allowed to change. And that was good for me because it really helped me prove to myself, like, I don't owe anyone anything, even though I love doing this, even though I get a lot out of doing this work and sharing the things that I know. At the end of the day, I don't owe it to anyone else outside of me to post every day, to podcast every week, to post the kind of content that I have been because no, it doesn't work that way. And I'm not going to let it work that way because no. But that was totally a shadow aspect that popped up. And within that, I had to ask myself, where this is coming from. Is this, and I think this was a bit of like shadow work for me because I had something come up that was like someone outside of me telling me that basically like they don't like how I'm showing up right now and they think that there's something wrong because of it. Guess what? No. No. It doesn't work that way. And I absolutely could have taken their words to like super heart and think, oh no, I'm not showing up how I have. That means I'm not worth enough, or that means I'm not good enough, or that means something bad about me. And I didn't. Instead, I said, I'm going to keep doing what feels right to me, and I'm not going to contact that person anymore. And it feels a lot better that way, because I realized in hindsight that same person really only liked when I was like not in a thriving place, when things were challenging, to the point where they only wanted to talk to me if things were challenging, and if things were good, they didn't talk to me. That is not a kind of person that you want to have in your energetic sphere. Have some discernment when it comes to the spiritual and woo-woo and energetic kind of relationships, because it can get so murky with that kind of, and I don't think people do it necessarily consciously, but it can get murky with that like holier than thou, I'm going to judge you because your path doesn't look the same as mine. Nobody's path is going to look the same as the other person's. Everybody's path is going to look different. I truly believe that, like, in my soul. My path isn't going to look exactly like yours. Yours can't look exactly like mine, because we're humans having different experiences of different things based on our perception, based on our beliefs, based on everything. And that's a beautiful thing, and that's a wonderful thing. And I love that. So, within the shadow work that I am doing, basically this January, February, most of March, half of March was that kind of like internal pause, hibernation time for me. And I really worked on shadow work, or I shouldn't say I really worked on it. A lot of aspects of my shadow came up, and that is absolutely going to happen in the wintertime when it's dark out, when we are, it's cold outside, we're inside our homes, like go inside, like use the seasons to help you figure out, like we're moving into spring. Okay, we're going to be blooming into who we have, like shed the old skin. Now we're going to bloom into the new version of us, or the whatever version of us. I hope you know what I mean by that. And at first, and mind you, like I have been meditating a lot. I've worked with a lot of different guides. The guides that I worked with this past winter it was different. It was amazing. It was exciting. And it was very transformational, because I feel like a very different person recording this episode. But at the same time, I could feel like a different person like 5 times in a day. So like, who knows? So in the long, arduous shadow work, which is basically just like something comes up that makes you feel imperfect, that makes you feel like you're less than, that makes you feel like you're not good enough because it's an aspect of you that you don't like comes up, and now you have to deal with it because that's a part of you. And what I've learned, what I'm uncovering, what I'm unraveling right now is that shadow work is just owning the fact that part of you exists and letting it exist. It's not eradicating the shadow that we're trying to do, because the shadow is needed just as much as the light is. And owning your shadow isn't just acknowledging your imperfections. It's acknowledging that there's no such thing as an imperfection to begin with. Like nothing like that can hold you back. And it all has to do with the lens of the value system that you inherited, not that you created. And this isn't to like fault anybody who raised us, but we do inherit certain ideas, certain ideals, certain beliefs through our parents, through our siblings, through our teachers. And we take those things on to mean things about us in the future when we act a certain way, when things go a certain way, or when things don't go a different way. So you can take those things that rattle around in your mind when the shadow aspect of you comes up that says, hey, you yelling right now, that's not okay. You know what? You yelling in that moment, maybe it wasn't appropriate for where it was. Maybe it scared someone when it happened. Maybe it doesn't matter why it happened. It happened. And that expression, you needed to get something from that expression, whether it was letting energy out, whether it was getting through that to get to the next thing, whatever like bridge that expression got you to is perfect. But we spend so much time boxing our shadowboxing, trying to beat ourselves up for the way that we've shown up in the past because we're afraid other people think it's bad or other people tell us it's bad. And what does that do for us? Like, what does that really do for you? Nothing. It just causes more anguish and anxiety and like freakouts, and we don't need that. It's not about polishing the parts of yourself until they shine acceptably. It's looking at the whole contradictory, messy, irrational self and saying, this is me. And the whole damn paradox is welcome here. I am the paradox. I am Pandora's box that is unraveling and opening up in the world, like whatever. But if you don't welcome that part of yourself, you can't accept it. And it's all about accepting the part of you that is there. You can own the part of you that gets emotional. You can own the part of you that cries at a sunset. You can own the part of you that screams on a roller coaster. You can own the part of you that maybe has really emotional outbursts sometimes, because that's how you process feeling things, and you don't have to feel bad about it. And I think that a lot of us are conditioned to feel bad when we're not presenting ourselves as perfect robots who have nothing wrong. No, that's not being human. Like, it's messy, it's ugly, it's beautiful, it's ecstatic, it's wonderful, it's hateful, it's all of the things. But when you're shadowboxing and tiring yourself out because you're literally looking directly at parts of yourself that are very much there, and you're basically saying you hate them and you wish they weren't there, and all that does is just create more like anger towards yourself that you do not need to take on, that you don't even necessarily own. Your shadow parts of you are just parts of you that you haven't accepted yet. And I know that that sounds really rudimentary and that sounds super basic, but that hit in a way yesterday when I was thinking about this episode, when I was conjuring up what I was going to talk about. I was like, wow, I know that's really basic, but it feels simple because it's true. And truth tends to look suspiciously like common sense once you're ready to hear it. And there's been a million times where I've heard something and then I go back and hear it years later and it lands differently. It hits differently. It means more or it means less. In this case, obviously it meant more. But shadowboxing is so exhausting because it's self-warfare disguised as self-work. It is fighting what has already been there. It's fighting what's woven into you. It's fighting parts of yourself that aren't going to go anywhere. Because when you start fighting that part of you that you don't like, it doesn't mean, like, you're basically just saying, I don't accept you. And you're causing more resistance within yourself. You're making it more of a tense place to be in your own body. We don't need to be at war with ourselves in 2025 where the freaking world is on fire. We don't need to be fighting our own self, okay? The longer you punch the shadow, the more it's going to grow. And it's not because it's winning, but it's because you're paying attention to it. When you don't pay attention to how you've reacted, when you don't pay attention to how people are looking at you, it's going to matter less to you. What you fight, you feed. What you're grateful for, you feed. What you pay attention to, your attention is currency, you feed. So let's not shadow box, let's shadow hold. Take that part of yourself that maybe you have a tendency to push up against, that maybe you don't want people to see, and say, hey, you're here. And that's fine. And that's not me to say, now you have permission to go out in the world and act like a dick and say, oh, that was just my shadow self and I accept that. No, like, don't be an asshole to people. Be good to people. Be nice to people. But at the same time, don't beat yourself up when you show up less than glamorous. Don't beat yourself up when you show up less than maybe how you expected to. You're going to have emotions. You're going to have feelings, and you're going to need to express those things because that's what being human is. I was working with someone the other day about what they're working on shifting in their life and what they're working on manifesting. And they said it was okay for me to share this. And they said, I came in here thinking that I needed a better strategy, a better routine, something that I could control. But what I really needed was permission to be where I am and believe that things still get to work out for me. I feel like I've been chasing a version of me that already feels the way I want to feel, but I've been doing it from a place of shame, and that just doesn't work. So what if I don't try to fix it anymore? What if I just noticed it's already working and let that be enough for now? What if I let life show me that I'm not behind? What if I let reality show me that I'm not behind? And like, what a big realization for this person to have. Like, it was a realization for me, and then like one of those very co-creative moments. I think in this spiritual world, you get caught up in needing to fix you. You either get caught up in needing to fix everyone outside of you or needing to fix only you, and there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to fix because it's all okay. And I know that sounds like probably a super obscure, like broad thing, like, oh, it's all okay, like spiritual, but no. because accepting the ugly parts of yourself is not an easy thing. Accepting the parts of yourself that you were told aren't good is not an easy thing. And I'm not going to pretend it is an easy thing. But shaming yourself into being different isn't where change happens. It's when you can accept those parts of yourself that exist, that now you give it wiggle room to breathe. Now you say, oh, that way that I've been showing up, oh, that way that I've been believing, that's okay. That's allowed. I can do that for as long as I want, and I can flip-flop back into it and out of it, whatever. But I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with that's where I am right now. And I'm telling you, I know it sounds weird, but like once you hit that point, it doesn't have power over you anymore, because you're not saying, oh, that angry side of me, or oh, that giddy side of me, or oh, that overly emotional side of me. None of that's showing up anymore. You're just like, oh, that's me. And maybe you have something happen where that version of you that you've been fighting so long shows up. And instead of being like, God, they're here again, you're like, hey, you're here. Let's change this a little bit though. Like maybe instead of acting this way, we pivot a little bit and do it this way. It's gonna feel natural because now you're not spending all your energy fighting a part of you that exists. Now you can create it into a new part of you that exists. Maybe you can take some of the energy in one version of you and let that catapult you into something brand new and creative, or brand new and productive, or brand new and rest. I don't know. Any of those things. And please remember that where there is light, there is shadow. And that's okay. Your shadow is a wonderful part of you. It's just the part of you that maybe you're a little daunted to work with, or daunted. Oh, is daunted the word? It's not. A little more reserved to work with, or a little more reserved to hang out with. But when you give that version of you space to be, space to breathe a little bit, you're not going to feel like you're fighting it as much. And you're not going to feel like it's this big bad thing ruining your life, because it's not. And this is coming from someone who in like January time period did have some bouts of some deep shadow work. And I was like, oh, this is what it looks like now. And then another part of me was like, no, this is just learning to accept these parts of you that are you and not fight against them so hard, because why? Why waste that energy? Why fight against a part of you that exists when you could just accept it? And then that's a lot easier to change. Fighting something and expecting it to change that doesn't make any sense to me. When I think about it, me fighting me, I'm not going to change anything. Both sides are going to stand staunchly in what they know and what they are, and we're not going to get anywhere. So that's my spiel on that. That's my spiel on shadow work and where I've been. And I don't know when the next episode will come out. I'm sure there will be one. I would love there to be one. Have some discernment with who you share your energy with. When things get rough, sometimes go internal. When your shadow comes out, say, hey, let's have a cup of coffee, instead of saying, get the fuck out. Just give it a chance to breathe if you can. And that'll take time, and that's okay. All right, my loves. So you can visit the website, abbacahdabrapod.com. That's in the show notes. You can email questions, or I don't have coaching on my website right now, but if you want to set up doing some coaching, if you're interested in something like that, you guys know my email is open. It's abbacahdabrapod@gmail.com, which is also in the show notes. And I think that's everything. So until next time, this is Abby signing off.